Hey, it's your girl MJ, and welcome to the Booty Call to Bride channel. I am your girl Michelle Tillman, and today we are talking Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 12. I have worked on tons of reality shows here in the Charlotte area, so I just want to give you guys my 2 cents on this week's episode. So I'm going to go back to starting about Paige and Chris. Thank you, Paige, for finally, one, bringing your friends and family back on the show and coming to your senses. So Paige, and she invites over her brother and her brother's wife. And actually, at first when I saw the wife, I was like, she looks kind of like Paige. But then I started looking like, okay, maybe not. But she tells them that, Chris decides to go through this reconciliation process with Mercedes. So basically it's like she hasn't told them anything that's been going on, and she's just like giving them the condensed version. She ain't tell them how she was acting dumb and how he whispered in her ear and how she would come back and all this stuff, but she's telling them the condensed version, like he decided to go back and be with his ex-fiance because she's pregnant, and that they're gonna go ahead and move forward and process the divorce. Okay, that's the simplified, notes version of what happened. And then she started saying how he tried to flip things on her and say that she's rejecting him, which is what he did last week. And I was like, what? Paige, why you ain't answering his calls? But now I'm kind of thinking about it. Okay, yeah, she's trying to make sure that he's being authentically who he says he is by only really dealing with him on camera to protect herself. And I'm all about that. So go ahead, girl, protect yourself. And she's like, he feels rejected, but you've been rejecting me since day one. You said you wasn't really attracted to me. So if that's not rejection, especially for a woman, then I don't know what is. And so she was just basically saying, I feel like my time has been wasted. And she fell in love with the idea of marriage. And I think everybody watching, every person who's watching can agree and say the same thing. She definitely was so in love with the idea of marriage, and God put this together, saying all these things to the point where she was just putting up with nonsense that don't even make sense for anybody to deal with, because we was all team Paige and girl, you could do better. And then we just started saying, girl, all right, this what you're doing, we're gonna leave you be and let you mess up on your own. But it seems like she has finally come to her senses. Somebody finally went up to her and said, hey girl, you need to stop. And she finally listened. So she just was talking about how she came in whole and he tried to break her, but she'll be fine. She said her biggest lesson is that she's choosing herself, and good for her. Then they started talking about like how all the people had to get used to the people they married's dogs, and Chris made it clear that he don't give a flip about Bentley, and he didn't say flip, but that's what I'm saying is my edited version. So then they show Chris's mom coming over to his apartment, and they chewing and eating, and they got the same lips, and they eating their food, which it could look kind of good. So they eating their food, and he's basically saying, I've decided, baby or not, that I'm not going to be with Paige. And I'm like, okay, so now it's baby or not, but you try to tell Paige it's all about, because there's a baby. But we all knew, and I even said it on video, like this had nothing to do with a baby. You just really wasn't that into her. So, but again, his words are, the book is closed, kid or no kid. And for those of y'all who were like, well, ain't no kid and all that stuff, well, he said it, kid or no kid. And he tells her mom, I told her she wanted a divorce, and she was looking all shocked. But then she was like, you know what, maybe it's better for them to just go ahead and separate than trying to work something out that ain't gonna work out. And she said, well, this is the chance that you take when you gonna marry someone at first sight. And which is true, like you do take that chance, like you just don't know what you're gonna get. But I guess no one thought they would get a Chris. That's a unpleasant surprise. I don't think anyone in the history of Married at First Sight has had to deal with someone that bad. I mean, yes, there have been other people bad, but not this bad, not to this extreme, to the point where it's just like, who are you? What are you doing? So Paige was also talking with Brianna and I believe Virginia, and they were talking about therapy, which is amazing. I think everyone should, talk to a therapist regularly if you can. And she was saying how She knows the experiment can work because it's working for Brianna and Vincent, and I guess you could say it's working for Eric and Virginia, but it just didn't work for her. And she even mentioned that she has 2 therapists. But girl, I just want to know, who are your therapists? Because it's a lot of work in her that needs to be done. Maybe that's why she has 2. Or maybe one of them fired her as a client because she don't listen. Because I'm like, it's a whole bunch of stuff that you accepted and you did with Chris that if you had a therapist, I would have thought you had the coping mechanism and skills to be like, no, I'm not gonna put up with this. I'm not gonna do that. So I don't know. This is a message to Paige's 2 therapists. One of y'all need to be fired. Both of y'all need to be fired. Somebody need to be helping her. I hope y'all are gonna be there for her, or actually somebody else volunteer your services, because she's gonna need it to walk herself through the next situation she's in. So Chris and Paige, you know, it's pretty much a wrap. I don't know how they're gonna keep doing the filming, what they're gonna be doing, showing them separate or just showing Paige in certain scenes and Chris in certain scenes. I don't know. But it feels like the drama is finally coming down, and now we can focus on those who are actually like working out at their marriages for the most part. But Brianna and Vincent, let's go to them. They were kind of talking about how they enjoyed their 1-month anniversary date, and Vincent started talking about all the dates that he wants to do, which is like a long list. And Brianna's like, I'm having to get a second job to take you on all these dates. Then they also started riding bikes, and they did a little race, and he was saying how he was so excited that he had Brianna, who was someone who's into fitness and working out, because he wants to get better health-wise. So they did a little bike ride. Of course, he was letting her win. They was riding in the street. They wasn't, I thought they was just gonna be on the sidewalk. They was in the street with these cars and stuff. So kudos to them for riding the bikes. But then after the bike ride, she was like, I want to get some ice cream. I'm like, see, that's that skinny people stuff. Us people who be struggling with our weight, we can't go get ice cream after a bike ride because we just canceled the whole bike ride out. But that's just me. I'm taking it personal. Let's keep going. Ryan and Clara. Okay, Ryan, you are clearly delusional. Can I say this? Delusional. Bruh. I'm going to just skip to the quote that he said, you know, I'm doing an incredible job of being a husband, and Jake would benefit to listening to me. Boy, bye. Who told you that? Are you around when Clara's doing her confessionals? Clearly, you don't eavesdrop, you don't ear hustle and try to listen to anything she said. I don't know when the confessionals were recorded versus when the things happened, because Clara is just like, well, let me say this. In his defense, Clara don't be confronting him like how I think she should, but she got all this to say to all the women and don't really say, well, hey, this really bothers me. And I think maybe in the next episode she's going to get to it. And so I feel like Ryan has this sense that he's King Kong and he's doing everything great when he really is not. And he's not being considerate of her feelings. And he keeps saying that, you know, they're accommodating to each other's feelings and emotions. She's rolling her eyes the whole time. And I'm like, bro, how do you not see and feel that energy? And then he was talking about, all she thinks about is one thing. When they're doing the yoga thing, he's like, well, you know, I'm doing my yogi. I just think about myself. And, you know, then she was like, well, how about try something different? And they're doing the breathing exercises and the things that are supposed to be bonding them together. But his mind is so set, like, this is not going to draw us closer together. But these are the things that you do to get to the point where you fall in love, where you can have the sex. So I just don't feel like he's as open to building and developing and nurturing this relationship as he says he is. And he thinks the way he does things is right, and that's it. And I don't know if Clara's not truly challenging him on that, or is he just so stuck in his mindset that the way he does things is the right thing. But y'all, I was just totally over him and his nonchalantness and the way he just thought he could give all the advice to everybody else. Like, bro, you need to sit back. You need to go talk to the experts because something is going on with you. And I still think it's the fact that he's a virgin, and that would explain a lot. But if he would just say that to her, at least, even if it's not on camera, just say that to her, So she don't think there's an issue there other than the fact that, hey, I ain't never done this before, so I'm just trying to take my time, and this is just my beliefs, or I don't want to talk about it on camera, my parents are conservative, whatever it is. Just be honest with her and even say, hey, don't say this on camera, but let me just tell you. So maybe she could stop going back to all the girls and be like, well, he said, he ain't doing this, and he wants it to be butterflies and unicorns whenever we, make love, or where he says love, or we have sex, but we're doing everything but that. And she said she's taking care of him, but he's not taking care of her, or at least that's what Haley said. And then she said, right. So I'm assuming right means no, he's not taking care of her, which that's a whole nother issue, which, again, typical virgin behavior for someone to do everything but sex and then think that it's so pure, but whatever. Jacob and Haley. Okay, so Jacob and Haley, they're like done, of course, but they had fun. They did a little go-karting thing, and she was so happy that she won. Jake said it was good to see her relaxed and not thinking only about the relationship, just having a good time, and I think that was good for them. Jacob said his dog wants to fight every other dog that he sees. They started talking about cooking, and he's talking about how you got to wear an apron if you're a good cook, and are you a 7 out of 10? And then he says the apron would make you a 9.5, and they start talking about their food. They're eating their Brussels sprouts, and he's eating like hamburger steaks or something. It looks disgusting, but I'm sure that's what keeps him lean and all that good stuff. So then Brianna and Haley are talking about their 1 month, and she said that, she brings up stuff to Jake. She feels like she's interrogating him because she keeps asking him questions and he don't answer. And then they show this clip of him being all weird, and she was talking about where she was at, Thailand, eating Thai food, and they just switches the subject to talking about deep cleaning. I'm like, was that an editing mistake? Or did he really just switch the subject like that? It's so weird. I can kind of see why she's having trouble with him, but I also think, like Melissa and Kev on stage said in their video, that she thinks she's trying harder than she really is. So hopefully they work that out, because clearly Jake is used to dating weird people, like the pumpkin lady he talked about, and all his exes are crazy and all this stuff. So hopefully they just are cordial until the end, because they're not going to be together. I don't care. I just don't see it. So last but not least, Eric and Virginia. Y'all, Eric was about to get popped by Virginia. She was like, say you gonna leave me one more time and I'm gonna punch you in your face. I was like, girl, okay, but I get it, because he keeps saying for every little thing, if you want to leave, you can just go. There's the door. You can go. You can leave. I'm out of here. I'm done. Do this. I'm done. Say you done one more time, and she says she gonna punch you in your face. And I just think he was so degrading. He talked down to her. He was so belittling to her. And he just kept, saying like, well, she says she's drowning, and she rarely sees her cats, and she doesn't talk to people who she used to talk to. She feel like she's the only one making sacrifices. And he just keeps talking about her dog and how he doesn't have manners. He needs to be trained. And then Jake was even like, well, maybe she don't want her dog to be overtrained and she just wants him to be a dog. And which is the one good point that I can agree with him about. And she was just saying, just because they have a fight doesn't mean they're done. But some of the stuff that Eric was saying, like, he said it so many times, it's like he's trying to make her say, I'm done, and walk out. It's like he's egging her on, knowing she says she deals with anxiety. I'm just like, do you want to be divorced, Eric? Because you keep egging her on, saying you're done if she does X, Y, Z. And he just keeps saying there's certain things about marriage, there's certain things about relationships that I just do better, and you'll get there. I'm just like, that, just the way that he was talking to her, like she was like a little kid, like she was an idiot. I just did not like how he was talking to her. Like, I felt disrespected on her behalf. And I kind of think that she probably is like, you know what? See, this is why I didn't want to be married. This is what happened with my parents. This is why, people end up in divorce. And I just know that was probably so awful for her. Because he just kept bragging about how he handles stress a little bit better than her. And I'm just like, who says you handle it better? You sound like you a little kid. He sounded like he be cussing her out every time they drink. She was like, I think every time we drink, you start going off. And I'm like, well, I thought he was the one who didn't hardly drink. But I guess I see why you don't drink. Because when you can't handle your liquor, you start popping off. But they say, a drunk mind speaks a sober heart. I think that's how it goes. So maybe what he's really feeling comes out when he's drunk, which is sad that that's what it takes to discuss. But I just thought they really need to work things out, because talk things out, not work things out. Talk things out so that it can work out, because he is convinced that he knows everything and I am not. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Make sure you like this video, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. Bye.